Alright. It's time to get serious from this one. Hello? Starla here. And Momo's here. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. So, we're back for more Togainu True Blood. Walkthrough 8. After I taken a break for all this, so now things after sending changes on Thursday because due to my work. I don't want to get my burned the living hell out of this. So right now in the last walkthrough, we wrapped up with Cascade. It's not so much. It's not gonna end well for me. So right now, we're now Route 3, but mostly I skipped it off, streamed it, walkthrough by Ren's route. I just did off stream. So this is walkthrough 8. This is the second route. So right now, we're beginning on Motomi's route. My dad. He's like a dad in a group in this one, in a nutshell. So, this is why I left off when the selection is our automatic. I just saved it for the selection just in case. I think I should punch him. I'll punch him. Even as he realized it was a childish impulse, Kira found himself erasing the misfits. Oh! Okay. We're off with a good start. Dad, you can let go of me. The hand has said it has wrecked the Motomi's chicken and caught in a dry smack. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, this is what me and my dad be like. Gripping into the Kira's hands, Motomi stares at it, intended in an amused smirk.
お前さん、パッと見は大人びて見えるけどな。やっぱ怒ると年相応だな。
As he glared back, Motomi's grin of wider than mischievous smirk playing on his lips. He walks right to the room with his top.
若い子ってのはいいね。潤うね。親父か。
Seriously, what is your age anyway?
まあな。
It's supposed to be like numbers, not JK. That's just kidding. Seriously. But it was a poke at his expense. Motomi is hardly laughs off. With a swollen expression, Akira turns his face over and shook it off with the other man's grip. With a shrug of the silent Akira, Motomi softens his smile.
まあまあ、冗談だ。マジになるなよ。
He patted his right arm. It was a little light of impact, but his sense of sharp pain races turned against him to the brows that twisted him on it. Motomi notices Akira's reaction turned slow.
どうした？いや。怪我してるのか？こっちが。
Okay. Motomi gently took his right arm, eventually having to notice him.
破れてるな。刺されたか。
Some scenes already got scenes for that. I'll skip. Must been a magic. I already know the cutscenes. I already know the cutscenes already. Let's not forget about him.
ほっとけよ。
Let's forget about. I already know the cutscenes. Turn him down. And ignored. If new scenes for that from Motomi, just in case. Okay. Right. She's just playing. Alright. All at once, Kira recalls with a deja vu. He had a just expression that it was all about. That man. The silver haired man had also slowly started to ready to act the actors attacking him. One of them brushes off, made a coincidence of but something was about fell off. It was a seizure the side effect of frying. That man's eyes has been clouded as well. If it was the side effect of ride, it could have been explained of a similar degree. Yet for some reason, it didn't feel right. There's something more about it, but Kiro had to go with a hunch into con- created evidence. Stumped, Akira led outside, quickly got his feet. As he thought of this faded and then faded sensation in his body began to resurface. He jolted the throb of his radiating the heat. He bit his lip with a cloud of blood. After the night, after the light liquid wipes out of the back of his hand, his arms are especially painful. Bruises are swollen and taken to the bending kicks. He tried to move his arms up and down. It didn't seem to be broken. The care person saw, well, begin to walk. Then, he sees a presence near the alley entrance. Stumped out abruptly, Akira's pushes back against his nearby, his held his breath. Bandit footsteps, ready and unable to see to head into in the direction. The battle with Takiro has left Akira's exhausted, and thought it was going in another round of the dot. But if Akira spotted it a little concerned, was his hand on the knife of the wrist on his waist, Akira cautiously tried to back his opponent presence. The decayed alleyway buzzed into the cover that night. A minute to hear the footsteps. Scenes quickened and moved in Akira's direction. Feeling his pulse to the kick of the notch, Akira presses the back of the wall, stains out of the sight. Whoever whoever it was, Akira wanted to steer clear of any trouble, especially now, with both his body and mind in poor condition. The sound of the footsteps seems entering the alley and here Akira's was holding. Steady. Akira hoped this would be the pressure with his past without noticing. He was thinking this. It hid himself in the shadows. Someone's coming. The precedence moments ago circled back. The sound of the footsteps echoing again, and the time that exists in the front of the alley. Akira could see showing a figure appearing in the directions of darkness. He attends his body, closely watches his opponent at every move. There's again. Oh? Akira's opponent Better taken by surprise. As Akira approached his moonlight into his face, the palm of his face, his eyes, when he sharpened his arm, poised to attack the cause of the frozen in place. With the strange man staring the back of Akira's look. Oh, Motomi. Information worker is meeting at the club.
お
Oh man.
前、
So apparently I finally got that route just right. So apparently there's gonna be a few parts about this route. You'll see. Motomi seems to recognize Akira as well. He narrows his eyes and frowns to the world to relax in his arm.
確か、アキラだったかこの間の。いやあ、驚いたな。まさかこんなところにいるとはな。
All speak the same thing. For the short side, Motomi's lips curved a little into the worried smile. Akira wants to say nearly the same thing to Motomi, but instead tucked his eye into his waist almost.
何やってたんだこんな暗い道のど真ん中で。
Akira hesitated for a moment in his. He browsed and he responds. Decided was not to indulge in the necessary details.
あんたこそ一回通り過ぎてっただろ。
ん？ああ、まあな。
Akira responds to Motomi's question with a question of his own, with an unclearly reply to the pulled back of his cigarettes without a breast pocket.
いやな、クラブあっただろ。お前さんたちと会ったところだ。あ、俺も中を見たってわけじゃないんだが、一人残らずやられたらしい。ありゃ、相当派手にやったな。
Akira could never forget about how he saw there, his image was there in his memories.
まあ、それでもしかしたら犯人がまだうろついてんじゃないかと思ってな。だってどうしようってわけじゃないんだが、情報屋の佐賀ってやつでな。
Motomi's lit his cigarettes when his face is twisted as a sour grimace of the smoke is dug into his eyes. The culprit. Akira had momentarily forgotten, but it's obviously someone who must be responsible. That is, he believes that might be the Takuro's. It was the only answer that made sense to him at that time. He found himself dwelling in Takuro's faith in their encounter, and the raw agony of his face, haunting Akira's memories, leaving a bitter ache behind.
やるか
No, thank you. I don't deal with smoking. Thank you. Motomi offers a cigarette, but Akira declined with a shake of his head, saying,
いや、俺は吸わない。
そう
Okay.
かこいつはな、本物の葉っぱを使ってる。対戦前は当たり前だったが、今じゃ希少品だ。
Motomi severed the cigarettes, exhaled a slow puff of the smoke. Akira remained indefensive. Akira had known many blasters player who smokes, but if they got bad batch, it would be making them sick. Moreover, to make the matters worse, and the bad as it would with it to the unstrained eyes. Once Akira became aware of the facts, any desires that he might be to have smoke to fade away.
顔色が悪いな。圭介はまだか。
Not really. Akira had no time to search. Lowering his gaze to the fallen in silence, Motomi lifted his face to the sky, eager to exhale the puff of the smoke.
ここんとこ、どうも街の空気が良くない。もともと治安なんぞ最悪だが、そういうのとはまた違う。 喉に物でも引っかかってるような嫌な感じがするんだよな。
Akira have a big sense of it too. He couldn't quite pinpoint the problem. But some things did fell off. It wasn't seen as some impending crisis, something that came to the promotion.
まあ、当然覚悟してるとは思うが、それでもな、いくらでならともかく、全く無関係にやられたりしちゃ、死んでも死にきれんからな。だから、圭介も早く見つけるに越したことはねえな。したら、ちゃんと謝るんだぞ、坊主。
With a knowing smile, Motomi gently patted Akira's head as he were smooth like a child. Akira shot him a sharp glare, and then tears it as a server to feed Motomi's amusement further.
あんな青臭い喧嘩見せられたら、なあ、おいちゃんなんか若いっていいなとかしみじみ思っちまうよ。ただな、あんまり突っ走りすぎると取り返しがつかなくなる時もある。素直になるのも時には必要だぞ。
Pierre steps back and upon realizing that Motomi was about to pat his head again. Motomi chuckles softly and scratches his bearded chin and a hand in his Mrs. Akira. Akira disliked and spoke it like a child. If only straining needless defiance in him a few more decades of he did not make the person superior. So it's called adults, who convincing of themselves of their own superiority of their one of the main the world if it was all Walkthrogh. And now they were scrambling around, unable to handle his own Akira couldn't help to think.
そんな目で睨むなよ。子供扱いするなって顔に書いてあるぞ。
Yeah, that's all I'm about to say. In real life, what my dad told me is understandable. Then as they were being mocked, Akira turns away and vows to be his. Okay, anyway. Feeling as they were being mocked. Akira turns away from Motomi and his annoyingness plain to see.
ああ、お前たちぐらいの年のやつら見てるといろいろ考えるよ。うちのも今頃はこんな感じなんだろうなってな。
Motomi's words compel Akira to glance his way. Motomi seems to yearn for something as there stares at the wall.
子供いるのか？
I have a question. My question for you, Dad.
うん、死んじまったけどな。
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. Taken aback at this response, Akira found himself lost in the words.
何？気にするな。もうずいぶん前の話だ。
Seeing Akira discomfort, Motomi offers a smile. He took a deep drag out of his cigarettes, sealed his lips, and then skillfully exhaled a perfect ring of the smoke. Each one of them drifted into the darkness before it vanishes into the nothingness. Akira imagined that Motomi is like shown it has to be the same rings of the young child. It must be has been serious look in his eyes, Watching the smoke of the brain and make him think so.
お前さんはどうだったよ。
俺は本当の親とかよく覚えてないから。
うん、そうだった。そんな制度になってたんだったな。
Motomi cigarettes hung in his lips and the mouth, grinding it down into the bitter frown. Akira's memories of his real family was almost. He didn't remember the so-called family of the military system brought him into. He never quite grasped his concept of his family, and now he cares to.
まったくバカげた制度だ。好き勝手やっておいた後始末を国民につけさせようってんだからな。汚れたケツぐらいてめえで受けってんだ。たく。
Juon understood his cigarettes. Motomi's frowned to his relative and muttered his sign slowly.
と、わりわり、うっかり長話になっちまったな。なあ、そうだ。そういや。
Motomi's appear had suddenly remembered something. He turned his gaze to Akira.
あと4日後だったか。久しぶりにイルレ戦があるんだが、見に行ってみるか。
イルレ戦？
まあ、前にちらっと話しただろ。イルレと挑戦者の試合は非公開だが、その前までなら見られる。変な余興だからな。見なくてもいいっちゃいいんだが、まあ、あのコロシアムの中に入れるのも珍しいからな。
Inside the palace, there has been those black doors that were called chain shut. They led to the Colosseum. It's caught his attention, not just out of the curiosity, but because he knew that it would go to there eventually. After Akira nodded reply, Motomi plugged his hand into the waist of the pocket and searched for something.
いつもは15時あたりなんだが、今回はちっとずれてたような気がしたな。
Motomi's mother remembered to the dirt of his pockets, and then his expression. She took confused and crept in to begin to pat himself down.
くそ、どういった？
As Motomi patted down his body, something that happened to tuck into his back pockets, right a bit of containing his veil on the ground. Up closer expressions. It appears in an old, tattered notebook. It was so worn and it was particularly open itself. As Akira picked it up, its pages flopped apart. His gaze in it is strictly drawn to the text written within. 11:04 p.m. North, back alley, and information only. 1:20 a.m. South, white walls, alley in the front of an abandoned building, and information only. The written was missing and hard to make out, but it looks at the back of his notes, jotted down and indicated time, direction, and location. It was possibly there were memos of meetups.
これ。
You dropped something. As Akira offers a notebook to him, Motomi's eyes went in his sight, whether the air to snatch it away.
どこにあった？
尻ポケから落ちたんだよ、おっさんの。
中は見たか？
いや。
Akira figured at a quick glance if he got at the page it didn't really count as reading. At any rate, it shook his head with a side to side.
うん、そうか。ああ、前にも尻ポケに入れて落としたことがあってな。もう二度と入れるまいと思ってたんだが、手癖で入れちまうんだよな。助かった。
Motomi shook it as he spoke. When Akira handed him the notebook, The leader sharpened his flashes and claimed eyes or something. Akira didn't miss to adjust his warm page. It might be the head of the treasure trove with information. It was likely available, but it seems to be more than that.
そんなところに入れてたら釣られるぞ。
3度目の正直だ。気を引き締めないとな。
With a shrug, Motomi looked at the thumb of the page of the notebook.
15時45分からだ。したら10分前にビスキオの玄関階段前でどうだ？場所はわかるか？
ああ。
よし、決まりだ。
Motomi snaps in a notebook and shoved it away into his coat pocket. Patted in it as short as its safety.
何か質問はないか？
Nope, we're good. Akira's first said that his answer is nothing. But a sudden thought is sprung into the mind, causes him to speak.
どうして都市まで情報屋なんかやってるんだ？
え？
Motomi blinked, perhaps or expected a question.
ここじゃ割に合わないだろう。いろいろと。
Motomi grunted as from his brow.
合う合わないの問題じゃない。だったら初めからもっとマシな仕事を探すさ。なんつうか、そうだな。ゲームと似たようなもんか。
ゲーム？
うん。頭も足も必要だし、それに俺みたいなのがこの町にたった一人ってわけじゃない。商売敵も言える。難易度が高い分得られるもんもでかい。いくらだって同じだろ
う。Akira knew that promise of this reward and the fact assured unbroken stream of the Igor flares. But he couldn't help but wonder if there was for Motomi wasn't sure why though. Is it possible that wariness towards Motomi is simple to clouds his judgment?
と、そろそろだな。約束があるから俺は行くぞ。10分以上待たせると帰っちまうんで、これから会う野郎は。
Motomi glanced at his wristwatch, stumbles out of his cigarettes, and pushed him into the wall and hinted at Percy.
そんじゃ、イルル戦忘れんなよ。
With a swift of a gesture, Motomi raised his hand and set off the walking. Listening to footsteps, brigaded to Akira let out a small sign of relief. He felt much of the composed now than he after the fierce battle with Tucker. Now, he needed to find Kesuke. Akira understood what had to be done. With a fatigue weighs him heavily. If he keeps this up like this, he feared that it wouldn't be able to move anymore. Rather than push him. Hold on. Rather than push himself too hard, but he knew the smarter choices to get some rest soon. Even though it's a little bit that decided he would stay in the building until dawn. Akira Motomi quickly lulled him to sleep. How long did he actually slept? Alright, DC, god dang it. Oh, new scene. Okay. It's new. Kesuke has been watching him, but Akira have been enjoyed it all. Unspoken DC. You know what? I'm skipping that. I'm not gonna get into detail. I don't want to talk.
くそ
I don't want to talk. Anyway, the sky darkened as nightfall crept in unnoticed. As Akira walked through the alleyway, an odd sense of odd, odd sense of, and he felt it in someone else's body. He was exhausted. He didn't want to think about this anything anymore. Once out of the main street, Akira crosses to the other side, slips back into the other alleyway. He wasn't headed to anywhere in particular, but he couldn't bear standing still. He emerged from the library, but now as always, Akira found himself up the side of a crowded street. Compared to the crowded city enter, in this area the few buildings, in the lonely corner where the Akira stood as it scattered the dead trees, to the void ending the defining of the landmarks in the night. Silence and swallows everything. As Akira took in the surroundings, an unfamiliar sense of the discord pulled him a stop. When he turned to look at the back of the impulse of the shadows, towards and across his attention. It was a stereotypical church, resting quietly among the abandoned trees. Isn't the wall of wood that sleeps in the roof and the crown of the black cross? At first glance, it seems to have been skipped to the ravages of the World War. But upon the closer expressions, the windowless shuttered at the appearance scores and the marks of the walls. Regardless of the destructions, and the pale to the comparison of the city centers, this church remained intact at the nearby the buildings, through the window that is not collapsed of the rooms. Akira approaches it slowly before the Great War. Toshima was just an ordinary town. As the church, it wasn't unusual to flicker of the light, and when he saw the inside, it unsettled him. Looking closer, Akira couldn't make out of the faint glow. Maybe there is someone inside. Partly he avoided places with people, but at that moment, its usual words had faded. Akira drifted towards the church, stopping before the door, and unburdened the sign, swayed in a place he thought it was a notice appeared to be unlocked. As he pushed at the door, it hanged across the face of the creek. The musty scent of the mold dust of the wet through the air yet. Curiously, Akira didn't found it unpleasant. Rather than the air felt somehow clearer to him. Inside a bit of the light, Akira noticed that earlier still glow. It appears in a lineup on either side of the central house, where they discarded a few of the overturned. There is a broken window, a few feet above it. It couldn't have appeared as a stained glass. At the end of the aisles stood an altar covered in white cloth above. Under the wall and hung a statue certified as severe figures. Akira has been inside search for before. There's the entire character agitated so that quickly ripping. The source of the light coming from the very front of the row of pews. A figure is seated there, barely visible. All Akira couldn't make it out of this distance and where this was a man. He couldn't even tell that it's been distracted or not. The figure remains utterly still. As the dawn of the light, Akira steps into the decaying sanctuary. Akira As unaware that curiously approaching the other people scanned suicidal here. Just no sense of their danger from the man. The old floorboards creaking every step that Akira took. Still the man didn't turn around. Akira found it hard to believe the man wouldn't notice him by now. He sees the ball in his hand. Akira wondered whether could it be sleeping. No, that was unlikely. Perhaps he was praying. As Akira drew his close enough to make out the man appears his eyes, went with surprise. Oh, a long candlestick sat there beside the man and found it by a brow. Closed his eyes and tried to collapse his hands, praying fervently. The flickered of flame revealed the ultimate was vibrating glow. Akira still silently watching. Ultimate's praying was intense and he felt and noticed and true in the church. His face is shone in the deepened shadows cast in the candlelight. It was hard for Akira to believe that there was the same shady the information book that it comes to now. It was a puzzling sight. Finally, Motomi noticed Akira presses his look up, his eyes are blowing wide.
なんでここに
At loss of the words, Akira had found himself stumbling over his answers.
なんとなく。
なんとなくって。結構道も入り組んでるし、あまり人は来ないはずだが。入り組んでたよな。
Motomi's question, seeking an agreement, hinted at his confusions. The street nearby was indeed maze-like, but since Akira has been walking to the days, having to proceed at a distance much as at all.
多分。
多分って。
Motomi looked, protruded his placed his hand on the forehead, glanced up at Akira's positive look.
お前大丈夫か？なんかぼやーっとしてるように見えるぞ。え？顔色が悪いな。とりあえず座れ。
Motomi moves to the candlestick, decided patted to Vincent's face. Akira sat down as it suggests. Motomi's arms rested the pewter backrest. In the air, it was unease. Stares ahead and Motomi murmured softly.
いつ入ってきたんだ？
今さっき。
声かけろよ。
いや、まさかいるとは思わなかった。それになんか真剣だったから。
With a strained look, Motomi snatched it up with his forehead, shut his eyes, and held it over to his mouth.
見てたのか？
何を？
見たんだよな。
The only thing Motomi has been during the praying, Akira's thoughts. Akira nodded and Motomi let out a deep sigh and it rested his head at the back's rest. For there, he stares up to the ceiling.
猫かお前さんは。足音も気配もしなかったぞ。いや、気づかなかっただけか。
Akira realized Motomi was probably embarrassed about being sent to praying.
別に教会はもともとそういう場所だろ。
そういう問題じゃない。なんつうか、いい年した大の男が教会で真面目腐って祈っちまってるなんざ恥ずかしいことこの上ねえや。
Motomi muttered softly, placing his arms in the head and the gaze upward.
そんなの気にしすぎだ。
俺にとっては一大事だ。
そこまで照れることなのか？
The more embarrassed Motomi seems to get, the more interested Kira's
嫌
become.
なんだよ。なんか弱いとこ見られたみたいで。
おっさん、普段はルーズだからな。
余裕といえ余裕と。まあ、この仕事やってっと余計にな。じゃないと相手に舐められちまう。
Kira couldn't see why wearing every motion to his face. It might not work out so well for Motomi. But it wasn't one of the Motomi's business partners, even though his logic didn't quite apply.
むしろお前さんみたいな小僧に見られたってのがまたショックだ。
So that's what really will have Motomi's feeling humiliated. The revelations left Kira somehow unsettled, but he stood a mood turn soon.
ま、見られちまったもんはしょうがない。
Raising his head at a word in front of the backrest, Motomi took another look at Kira.
で、俺のことはいいんだ。お前さんだよ、その顔。この間も決していい顔とは言えなかったが、今日はさらにひどいぞ。
Well, thank you for until now, Dad. Yep. With those words, memories of what happened earlier came rushing back to Kira. Kiski had changed. His words were as full of venom as much as the hatred in his eyes. Seizing the sharp pain of the gripped in his heart, Akira averted his eyes from the
もともとこういう顔だ。
高いよ。
Moto's let out a small sigh.
まあ、無理に話せとは言わん。生傷えぐる趣味はないからな。けどな、人間誰にでも許容量ってのがある。心のな。もちろん目には見えないし、限界は人によって違うから、他人が測れるもんでもない。だが、意外と本人ですら分かってない時が多い。
With those words, Motomi pointed at his own chest.
限界を知らないまま頑張って我慢して、気づかないうちに許容量を超えちまう。それでも無理すると心が耐えきれなくなってドカーンだ。
With his hand pressed against his chest, Motomi spreads out the 5 fingers that mimic the explosion and has shrugged his shoulders.
見えないならしょうがない。
まあ、そうとも言うな。けど、年食ってくと許容量も広がる。それに、さじ加減ってやつもだんだんわかるようになってくる。そうすりゃ、そうそう地雷は踏まなくなるさ。
年の功ってやつだな。
なんか引っかかるな、その言い方。
For a moment, Motomi's expressions turned sour.
まあだからな。限界ってのは目に見えんでも超えそうになると危険信号が出る。何かしらのな。お前さん、そろそろやばいんじゃないのか？
危険信号なんて別に出てないけど。
その顔とかな。
だからもともとこういう顔だ。
嘘つけ。結構ギリギリって顔じゃないか。だいたい自分で気づけりゃ苦労しない。
Motomi leans back, casting Akira admittedly irritated, dismissive glance. Defense has stared at his with Akira. What could a complete stranger possibly know?
辛い時は発散しないと、お前もドカーンと言っちまうぞ。
そんなにやわじゃない。
あのな。なんつう強情っぱりだ。お前さん、あまり人を頼ったことがないんだな。
With an exaggerated sign, Motomi rubbed his chin and a frown on the brow and a gaze up at the ceiling. Akira couldn't disagree with Motomi, but he had never acted everyone else in mind. Akira really said much to anymore. It felt well the place is not. Usually kept the conversation moving along. There was usually nothing they need to say. Words. Never have it change everything. Rather than force a needless human connections, sought for the comfortable from him.
しかしまあ、この教会はいい作りしてるよな。見た目が質素な割にはな。屋根も崩れず残ってる。
Monty looked up at the ceiling as he spoke softly. Akira, too, was drawn to the look at the directions. The candlelight didn't reach to the far as that, but Akira could see that the constructions was simple and solid.
神がおわします聖なる家だろ。神っていると思うか。
Caught off the guard of the questions, Akira looked at Motomi. Motomi shifted his gaze to the ceiling of the crucifix. Akira watches as he stares, nothing but deeply troubled expressions. Perhaps it was only the flicker of the shadows that makes him seem that way.
いや、
無神論者か。
教会へ来たのも今日が初めてだ。
I see. So this is your first time seeing the church, Akira.
初めてなのか。
That's what I'm saying. With a hint of the surprise, Motomi glanced at Akira.
子供の頃とか行かなかったか。
Akira shook his head. He didn't remember his childhood much as at all. It wasn't that much of his memories had faded through that it feels like they abruptly cut off. The world is a fragment. Barely in the misty haze, it was impossible to have stepped into the church before memories indulged him.
俺はガキの頃は割とよく言ってたし、名前なんてのももらったぞ。
I see.
名前？
成人の名前を授かるってやつだ。なんだったかもう忘れたけどな。
似合わないな。
うるさいよ。
Akira had carelessly glanced out as if he was thinking, attracting the affairs of glare of Motomi.
だが、今は神なんか信じちゃいない。まるっきりな。
Motomi shrugged his shoulders, playfully took his cigarettes and cased it in his shirt pocket. He was just joking, but Akira could sense his hint of the sadness with his voice. Motomi finished down a cigarette and struck out between his lips. His eyes were half closed as he lazily searches his lighter.
けど、教会ってやつだけはどういうわけだか好きなんだ。好きってのともちょっと違うかな。心が落ち着く。静かな場所だしな。面倒だな。これでいいか。
Unable to find his lighter, Motomi grabbed his candlestick and his cigarette with it, inhaled it deeply. The tip of the flare fired briefly before the smoke drifted gently into the air.
教会は禁煙だろ。
こんな無人の教会で禁煙も何もあるがよ。
Settled down on the candlestick, Motomi exhaled the grand fumble of the smoke and smile.
教会に来るとね、神よりも人間がすごいって俺は思うね。なんつうか、底力を感じる。
底力？
ねえ、昔っから人間は神を崇め奉ってただろ。で、神を信じる強い一念でこんなもん作っちまった。お前、神なんて本当にいるかどうかわかるか？
いや。
だろ？確かめようもないし、わからない。なのにそんなあやふやなもんと触れ合うための場所ですっつって作られたのが教会だ。
Motomi held his cigarette between his fingers, lighting it, tapping his back of his against the chair. A small amount of the ash fell from the den, and naturally, he didn't show no signs of the concern.
ある意味怖いよな。執念ってやつだ。人の一念が時代を超えて多くの人間の共感を呼んでるんだ、今も。別に信者でなくても好きだっていうのは結構聞くからな。
Kara could have seen the truth in what Motomi was saying. This is the first time I visited church, and despite the state of the decay, he found it oddly comforting.
悪くないな。
そうか。
His eyes softened at Akira's words. Motomi rested his hand on his pew. His fingers are curling into his cigarette.
神は万能だから何でもできて当然だが、人間はそうじゃない。俺は超能力とかも信じないたちだが、理屈じゃない何かが動く時ってのはあると思ってる。それを感じさせてくれるから俺は教会が好きなのかもな。
I see. Sure enough, Akira felt like he could have somehow sensed it too. A moment of silence passed. The smoke had dripped into the cigarettes Motomi held between his fingers. To Akira, the candlelight seems as took out it and thrilled wild.
教会には本当にいろんな奴が来る。犯罪者だって来る。
犯罪者？
祈ったり懺悔にな。ここには神がいるからな。あれに向かって祈りを捧げるんだ。
With a nod, Motomi gestures towards the statue of the severed above his altar.
なんでかわかるか？
Akira shook his head with a side to side. He had it always, it seems, only divulged the believers' prayer.
なあ、神だよな。全知全能の神に罪を告白して許してもらおうとする。許されりゃ楽になるし、天国にも導いてもらえるってな。
許すって誰かが神の代わりにでも？
いや、なんたってそもそも神の存在が不明だからな。それでも許容オーバーの思いを抱えたままじゃ苦しくって仕方がない。神はどんな話でも聞いてくれるからな。
ずいぶん都合のいい話だな。
おや。
Motomi gazed a flick of the sideways towards Akira, his lips growing into the faintest smirk as smoke dripped towards the statue.
だから神ってのはそういう存在なんだよ。で、話がぐるーっと回っちまったが。
Motomi snuffed out his cigarette against his back of the pew in front of him, looking to the butt and the ground of his feet.
神に祈れって言ってんじゃないぞ。誰かに話すってのは誰にでもできる簡単なことだが、案外大切だってことだ。言葉ってのは目に見えないが形はある。 胸に積もる、腹にもたまる、凶器になることだってある。
凶器？
うん。
Words are not just sound, Akira thought. They weren't intangible. Well, he wouldn't if they were could possibly turn into the weapons. As he couldn't see the right through the Akira's doubts, Motomi's flashes a brief smile.
言葉が腹にたまるとな、凶器に変わる時がある。胸に積もるってのとはまたちょっと別だが。
腹？
腹だ。
Motomi spoke of Akira's abdomen to demonstrate. Akira suddenly felt a strange discomfort of the stomach upon it that called his attention.
言葉は生ものだからな。溜めるとどんどん腐っちまうんだよ。腐ったもんなんか体に入れときたくないだろ。出してやらないと体がイライラし始める。で、今度はイライラしてる体を感じ取って心もイライラし始めるんだ。言葉と体、気持ちと心、こいつらは切っても切り離せない関係だ。なあ、アキラ。
Motomi glanced at Akira with a gentle look at his eyes.
言葉を話すってのはな、何も話そうとか聞かせようとか意識しなくていいんだよ。頭に浮かんだことをそのまま外に出せばいい。そうすれば自然と言葉になる。抱えちまうとちっとばっかし重くなるけどな。人間ってのはもともとそうできてるんだから。
Despite what Motomi was saying, Akira never felt the need to be speaking to others. He understood why it is important, but it's something in his logic didn't quite resonate with him. As he would read the subtitles and Akira's expression, Motomi taps his temple in his affairs.
さっきそんなにやわじゃないとか言ってたのも、ここがそう思ってるだけだ。脳みその思い込みで体の危険信号が無視されてる。大丈夫な気になってるだけだ。
Akira certainly has been strained in his feel, obsessive way that has been pressing down his chest.
ああ、また顔に出てるぞ。だからな、無理強いはしない。しないが、そんな顔されてるとこっちも黙って見てられなくなる。
With a strained smile, Motomi has let out a worried sign.
今まで人に頼らず生きてきたんだろ。そりゃあ立派だ。けどな、辛いのに無理するのはただの考えなしだ。ちょうどここにこうやってぶつかってこいって言ってるおせっかいがいるんだから、利用したらどうだ。話したくないことは話さなきゃいい。
Still, Akira wasn't sure what to do. All he needs to do is whatever that pops out of his head to give it the words to what was really weighing on him. Since seeing the cascade, it has only gotten worse. Akira wasn't sure what he couldn't talk about it, but if he did, he wouldn't make him feel even better. He licked his dry lips and he took a deep breath. The candle is still casting foam and it already melted more than halfway. Akira slowly opened his mouth. Just whatever pops out in your head, he reminds himself. Right. The first words out of his mouth suddenly tremblingly chorus.
ケイスケにあった。
Motomi's eyes narrowed slightly.
いつだ。
ここへ来る前だ。
Not much time had passed, but it is almost like a distant dream of the Akira.
捕まえなかったのか。
Well, he about to, but not exactly.
まるで別人みたいだった。
Yes.
別
I don't
人
want to talk. I don't want to talk about it.
We've been from home for the past couple of days on your side, sis. No one mentioned I'm at work.
Uh-huh. Motomi's frowned his brows, looking at
どういう
puzzle.
意味で
意味も何もそのままだ。一瞬圭介だってわからないぐらいだった。
It was the side effects. The side effects of the candy addictions. The humans of Keisuke's face laughed in a pure malice. Glances at Akira's mind. Unconsciously, he clenches his fist.
俺を殺すって。
That's the point.
殺すちょっと待てよ。
The strained grimace of the Motomi's raised up his palm to stop Akira's from speaking to
だ
Fur.
ってあいつイグラの参加にも相当尻込みしてなかったか。それがまさかお前さんを殺すだなんて。
だから別人みたいだったんだよ。
圭介がそうなっちまった理由に何か心当たりはないのか。
Akira thought there was a clues he knows of. If it has been a fight at the hotel, well, it wasn't a thought I never forget before. Thought before. There was no way to the shore. Whatever it was, the moment that triggers Akisuke's transformation.
まさかあの喧嘩でなんてことはないよな。
Motomi seems to think of this at the same thing as Akira. Arms crossed, he rested his head against the pupils of his eyes fixed on the ceiling of the strained gaze.
見つかったと思ったら今度は命を狙われるか。因果なもんだな。まさかこのまま放っておくわけじゃあるまい。
Motomi looked at Akira. In response, Akira gives a quiet nod. Kensuke has spoken to the club and almost everyone were proud of it. Akira didn't want to consider it, but he knew the tragedy was like it has happened again.
まあ嫌な言い方だが生きてるってことが分かっただけでもよかった。 一応万が一の線も洗ってたからな。生きてりゃ望みもあるさ。
Raised in front of his seat, Motomi smiled slightly to glance at Akira.
どうだ少しは楽になったか。
Akira wasn't sure that he felt better. It still didn't feel real somehow. Yet, by sharing the thoughts of someone else, it did see something through the suffocating tightness and thought it eased somewhat.
多分。
そうか。あとはちゃんとなんか食って水分取っとけよ。倒れたら何にもならんからな。
Yeah. Thank you for the advice. I will eat later on. I'll eat later on. You have the compatibility point, Dad.
You can eat right now, so this is where we're gonna stop here, sis.
I'm getting to it.
If you're hungry, then yeah.
With that almost bitter smile, Motomi roses his feet to his grounded as he picks up the candlestick, along with a little reminder of the candles.
Yeah.
さて、俺はそろそろ行くが。
Okay. Acknowledged Motomi's in spite of his eyes, Akira stood up as well. As the two of them walked towards the door, Akira had a thought that he was watching Motomi's in front and behind. What had he been praying for as intensely? And when Akira walked into him? With a question like, It was like it handled upon some deeply personal feelings with a multi within a multi, so Akira referred to from acting. A soft glow to the candlelight. It eliminated their surroundings by walking. When they got into the door, Motomi snuffed out the smallest flame and tested Akira's and it fell into the darkness again. Akira having expressed the Motomi exited immediately. He was stood there, motionless. He wasn't looking back at the pier that staring to this. The air felt changes the tense somehow. Akira found himself glancing towards the Motomi.
暗いからな。足元に気をつけろよ。
Okay. Motomi spoke out of the things, and normally he would have prepared to open the door alone. Akira must have been unimagined things. Or at least what he could do, he told himself. He left the church and parted the ways from Motomi. I think I should stop right there. As like Dad told me, he told me I gotta eat something. He read my mind.
Here you go.
So let me exit the game.
Like, this is weird. Let's see the braid of the day. Maybe he has a point though.